Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everybody out there in YouTube land. The Logistical Bear here, coming to you on this beautiful Christmas morning. Wanting to wish each and every one of you and your families a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Hopefully we'll be out of the flu season very soon and things can return to normal. Hello, I am the Logistical Bear. Welcome to the Logistical Bear Speaks. I've had a few people ask me how long has it taken me from start to finish to obtain my freight broker authority, how much it costs me, how long did it take me to obtain shippers, and how long did it take me to obtain carriers rather, and how long before I started seeing a profit. I'm going to address all that and a few more issues. I want to talk about corporations, why they are important for you, and a few other things right after this brief introduction. Alright guys, welcome back. Told you that'd be a brief introduction. So let me start out here by talking about corporations, why they're important, especially limited liability corporations and how they came to be. A corporation gives you an added level of protection. It shields you, it limits your liability and your risk should something go horribly wrong on the road with a carrier that you hire. So you hire a carrier, you do all your due diligence, the guy has an impeccable safety record, clean driving record, his CSA is clean, his MPEA is clean, he's never failed a roadside inspection on his truck, he's a great driver, he's got many years experience, and something happens, force majeure, act of God, act of nature. He's going down the road, for instance, he drives through where there was an accident earlier in the day, picks up a piece of debris that pops his steer tire and pulls him off into the lane next to him, strikes the vehicle there, killing a young mother. Worst case scenario, I know. But this is why having a corporation is important. So, of course, that family, they're going to sue that driver, they're going to sue his company, they're going to sue you as a broker because you hired him, and they're going to sue the shipping company that hired you because it was their freight that he was moving. Now, they're going to look at you, and you need to prove to them that you used all due diligence and all due care to make sure you were hiring somebody that was going to be safe and responsible in moving that freight. Now, if they decide that you just flipped open the phone book, put your finger on a number and called that guy and said, hey, you want to come move this freight for me without checking him out, and you don't have an articulable record showing what you did, the background checks you did on him, on his company, you can't prove that you did a thorough background check on him, you used all due diligence, you're going to get hit with the liability. On the other hand, if you can prove that you did everything right, and for all indications there shouldn't be an issue with this driver, you're going to take a lot of the liability off of your shoulders. Although in recent years some brokers have been found liable even when they did everything right. Now they sue him and his company, they win. Now his personal bodily injury and property damage coverage is only $1 million. The award for damages and loss of life is, say, $5 million. Well, his insurance is only going to cover $1 million, less attorney fees, experts, and everything else. So they're going to go after him. If he's an owner-operator and he's a sole proprietor, he doesn't have any corporations protecting him, they're going to take all his personal assets. They're going to take his property, his bank accounts, his cars, his motorcycle, anything he owns, planes, trains, automobiles, is all going to be seized, liquidated to pay that settlement off. Now, they're going to go after the company name as well. Now, if he is incorporated, he's going to be shielded somewhat. They're going to go after his business. They're going to take all his business assets. They're going to take his trucks, his trailers, any buildings, bank accounts, whatever he has there, and liquidate it up to the point where the $5 million award is covered and that judgment is paid. If, say, he's only got a $175,000 truck and trailer, he's only got $50,000 in the bank, and the business name, well, he just lost his business. They're going to shut his business down. They're going to bankrupt him. Now, what are they going to do for the rest of the money? Well, they're going to come after you as the broker. If you can't prove you use all due diligence and this guy was a safe, reputable driver, they can take your business, they can seize your business bank accounts and your assets. If they can prove you were negligent in your practices and your business dealings with anybody, it doesn't have to be him. It could be another driver that you hired and found out later on that he was an unsafe driver, or you overlooked something on his background that you didn't catch right away. Well, because you were negligent in that driver, that must mean you were negligent in the driver that was involved in the accident. Now you're liable. So make sure you do everything. Set up an established procedure and guideline. Put it in writing. Write down your hiring guidelines for dealing with shippers and carriers. Do it this exact same way each and every time. Get yourself in that repetitive habit. Get that muscle memory going. Check everything each and every time. Don't leave any step out. Don't glance or fly over any steps. Use the due diligence. Take your time. Do everything properly to protect you from these instances. Now, if you're just a sole proprietor and you're not incorporated, well, kiss your bank accounts goodbye. Kiss your house, your planes, trains, and automobiles goodbye. Kiss your family goodbye. Because they're going to leave you bankrupt. They're going to leave you on the streets. Now, if you are incorporated, especially if you have a limited liability corporation, they're going to take your business. You're going to open another business. I mean, it's only going to cost you a couple grand. Save up and open your doors under another name. Of course, you're going to have to start from the ground floor, start from scratch, and build your way up. And your insurance bond's going to be a lot higher because you just had that major loss. But you're still able to restart and rebuild. But if you don't have that protection, you're not going to have the money or the resources available to restart and rebuild. And then, of course, they're going to move on to the shipper once they got everything they can out of you. If they just take your business, well, they can't get blood from the stone.
Take the entrance to the right on I-80 East.
Actually, I'm going to the right. I got to go I-80 West. I had to put that in there as a placeholder. They wanted me to avoid I-70 with this load, and my GPS wouldn't let me program to go up to I-80. So I had to set a marker on I-80. But I'm heading up to Oregon with this load of beer. Yummy. Some Christmas Day for me. You guys are enjoying your turkey dinners with your family, opening gifts. I'm driving down the highway. Merry Christmas to me. Anyways, yeah, here. Just trying to get my GPS caught up here. Now it should tell me to go left on I-80 West. Yes, it is. Let me just mute this bad boy real quick. Just mute. Sorry about the distraction there, guys. So, yeah, without that level of protection, you're toast. Now, I've gone with a limited liability corporation in this instance. I mean, God, I hope that scenario I just played out never, ever, ever happens to any of my drivers or to any of you for that matter. But unfortunately, in this game, in this industry, it is a possibility. You have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Now, when it it comes to the corporations, you know how corporations got their start? Way back in the day, back in the 1700s, back in the Spanish conquistadors. Ship captains would go out with precious metals like gold and silver or other commodities, and say they were overtaken by pirates. They ran aground. They ran afoul of weather and capsized, and the load was lost. All that freight, all those commodities, all those valuable materials were lost. Well, the owner, either the government or whatever business group that owned that freight, that merchandise that that ship was hauling, they would go after the ship captain to recover their losses, provided, of course, he survived the incident and made his way back home. If they couldn't go after him, they would go after his family. They'd take his estate. So they got together and they formed corporations, limited liability corporations, to limit their personal liability in such incidents of loss. And it's been that way ever since. So it's very important that you establish a corporation for your business to protect yourself and shield yourself. And a lot of you probably did not know how that corporations all got started. Now, what is a corporation? Why is it called a business entity? Well, for all intents and purposes, a corporation is a person. It is a living, breathing being. It's called an entity, because an entity is another name for life form, I should say. A business is born. It has a social security number. It expands. It grows. It opens bank accounts. It pays taxes. It earns income. It reproduces. It can be just like a person. It can be sued. It can be arrested. It can be put to death. And of course, all businesses eventually do die. Hopefully not for a very, very, very long time. Just like a person, we're born. We grow up. We have a social security number. We work. We expand ourselves by obtaining and owning property. We start families, we reproduce, or we expand by marrying a ready-made family. A man or a woman marries a man or a woman that already has children, so now they've expanded, or they reproduce and have children of their own. They pay taxes, they own property, planes, trains, automobiles, houses, so on and so forth. And a person can be sued. A person can be brought up on criminal charges. A person can die. Now, in worst case scenario, a person can face capital charges and be put to death. But in most cases, in a criminal case, you're either going to be not guilty, exonerated, you're going to be fined, you might receive probation, or like I said, you can be put to death in capital cases. How does this parallel to a business? Well, when a business is formed, you file your articles of organization or articles of incorporation. This is your business's birth certificate. Like a birth certificate for a person, it's telling the government, hey, this entity, this new life is here, there's a new person here, there's a new entity. Your social security number for a person is issued by the Social Security Administration. Your social security number for the business is called an EIN, an employer identification number. This is issued by the IRS. Everything centered around that business is centered around that EIN. Your tax history, banking, licensing, everything is incorporated around that. Just like you as a person, your social security number is yours and yours alone. Nobody else has that same social security number. And with it, they get their driver's license. They own property. They earn income. They pay taxes. Everything's centered around their social security number. Now, how does a company expand or grow? Well, Look at things like Apple, or at the time Macintosh, Windows. They got their starts in garages and college dorms and expanded and grew to what they are now, multi-billion-dollar industries. How does they expand also by buying and absorbing other already existing businesses, much in the same way that somebody marries somebody else that has children. Those children are now offshoots of that person. They're now offshoots of those businesses that the company buys and absorbs, now become their responsibility. They're their children. They reproduce by opening new locations and franchising out. Each of those franchises are children of the parent company. They come from the parent company. Look at some of your big box brands like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Church's Chicken, that is. Big box stores like Kohl's, Kmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, any big company like that that you see all over the place, those are franchise or extensions and expansions and children of the original location. That's how a company reproduces. Now, a company does something wrong. It's usually in environmental cases. They can get sued. They can be placed on probation. They can be fined quite heavily. However, a business can't be sent to jail. It can only be fined, put on probation, ordered to stop doing certain things, or ordered to shut down completely and pretty much put to death, a death sentence for the business, just like a person in a capital case can be put to death for killing another person. So there are lots of parallels here. When a person dies, there's a death certificate issue. This certificate notifies the government, hey, this person is no longer with us anymore, take him off the rolls, he's not producing, he's not productive anymore. Whereas if a business shuts down, you file an article of dissolution, dissolving the corporation. You're basically, that is the business's death certificate. That's telling the government, this business is no more, it's dead, it's gone, take it off the rolls, it doesn't exist anymore. See the parallel there? A business, corporation or a business is called an entity. When you complete it, you're establishing your entity or your life form. Kind of a simplistic, sideways look at it, an approach to it. And most of you probably never thought of it or looked at it that way, but now you're going to look at it a little bit differently. Now you're going to realize that it's an actual life form. It's something you're putting into. Everything you put into your family and your children, you want to put into your business as well. I know, a little corny maybe, who knows? Different people look at that analogy differently, but hey. So you guys wanted to know how much it cost me to set up my brokerage, how long it took me to get my authority, how long will it take me to get my first shipper, and how long will it take me to get my first carrier, as well as how long did it take me to get into profit and start making money. Well, let's start at the beginning. I started out by opening up what's called a virtual office. I have a physical office location in Anchorage, Alaska. Why am I setting up in Anchorage? Because I'm getting ready to move there. I want everything up and running, and so when I get there and get into my new place, all I gotta do is open up my laptop or set up my desktop and start working right away and making money and covering my bills. Now, one of the nice things about the move is it's more than 800 miles and I'm changing jobs. I'm going from truck driver working at a trucking company to a new business as a business owner doing freight brokering. I can write off 85% of my move. that's the nice thing. If you're moving more than, I think it's 850 miles is what the current move is, and it's a business-related move, you're moving because of work, you can write off 80 to 85% of that move on your taxes. So I set up a virtual office. I set up through a company called Opus. I will leave a link below in the description for these guys if you want to check them out. Full upfront transparency, it is an affiliate link. I will save a couple dollars on a month's rent if you decide to use that link to obtain an office for yourself. You don't have to, I'm just putting it out there, but I want you guys to know ahead of time. I want to be as fully transparent with the channel and with everybody watching as I can through this whole, through the whole channel, through all my videos. I'm going to be as open, honest, and transparent as I can with you guys, because I don't want to pull any punches. I don't want people to just see the shiny, happy side of it. I'm going to show you the dark, bruised, and battered side of the industry as well, because I want you to come in eyes wide open if you decide to become a broker or get into the transportation industry. I don't want you to come in with high expectations and end up feeling low. So I open up my virtual office up there. What a virtual office is, it's an office that you have access to. It's virtually yours. Yes, you can go in there and sit down at a desk if you need to. You just need to let them know ahead of time. There's conference tables and conference rooms available if you need to have a meeting or a training session or something. You say, hey, I need a conference room for a couple hours or a day, a couple days, whatever. They'll tell you what's available so you can schedule everything around that availability. Hey, I need an office for the day or a couple hours. I need to meet some clients. I need to meet some, do some interviews. I need to prepare for my annual colonoscopy from the FMCSA. I need an office. Make sure it's a big office so they have enough room for that Hubble telescope they're going to break out the first time to give you your colonoscopy. And yes, once a year the FMCSA will come out. They will send an agent out to your office to inspect your files, go over your paperwork, and make sure you're doing everything legitimate. You have proper records, everything's documented. They're going to look at your bank records. They're going to look at your carrier hiring program. They're going to look at your shipper vetting program, your carrier vetting program. They want to make sure you have all the right documents on hand. They want to make sure you're keeping accurate records. When it comes to brokering a load, they want to see what shipping company hired you, what carrier you hired, how much money you got, and from where. Okay, this shipper A paid you $5,000. You kept 10% of it for yourself, $500, and you paid the shipper $4,500. They want to see that paper trail. They want to see where the money's coming from, how it's moving through your business, and where it's terminating at. They want to see from origination to you to the shipper. Origination is the shipper. Coming through you is the intermediary, and where it terminates, where it's going to, and that is the carrier. And when they go look at the shipper, they want to see the same paper trail. When they look at the carrier, they want to see the same paper trail in reverse. They want to see that I, as a carrier, gave them $4,500 on such and such a date to move a load from shipper A to receiver A. They want to see that paper trail. They want to see everything. They want everything to match up. And your very first annual inspection is going to be the most intrusive and the most invasive, and your greatest chance of being shut down. So you want to make sure you have everything in order, everything lined up. And having an office gives you a level of integrity and shows them you're a legitimate business. Now if you say, oh yeah, come on out to my dingy apartment, or come on out to my mobile home in Crackville Trailer Park, or come on out to my apartment or my house, that's not going to look too good for you. And we'll get into more of the visibility of that later on. This virtual office, they set up a physical landline for you. The phone's answered during business hours. The receptionist, live receptionist, answers that phone line in your company name, and then they will transfer it to whatever number you tell them to transfer it to. If it's after hours or weekends or holidays or what have you, they will, it'll go right to a professionally recorded voicemail by the receptionist in your company name. Then that voicemail will be emailed to you. You'll get an email, it'll have a downloadable link in it. You can go in and you play your voicemail and hear your message. They set up a physical fax machine for you, where anything that gets faxed to you comes right out of your email address. For an extra $10 a month, you can pay to fax out, where you send an email, compile your fax, send it as an email, they converts it to a fax and sends it out to the fax machine, kind of like e-fax does. Inbound faxes and calls are included in your monthly fee. Outbound, they charge $10 more. Now you have a physical office mailing address. They have a mailroom that receives all your packages, receives all your mail. And they can do whatever you want with it. You can have them once a week forward it to you if you're out of the area. They can take pictures of the outside of the envelope and email it to you so you can see what it is. If it's something that looks important that you need to look at, you say, hey, can you open that up and scan it in for me and send it over to me? And they will do that. That's part of your program. That's part of your package. Then they'll turn around, put it back into the envelope it came back out of, they'll reseal it, and do whatever you want with it. They'll either hold it there until you come pick it up, or you can have it forwarded, mailed to you. And you tell them every Friday, I want you to take all my incoming mail, throw it in an overnight pouch, and send it to me Friday night. And they will do that. You have access to their mail room if you come into the building. You have access to the copy machine in there if you need to go use it. Of course, you have to pay for your postage and everything yourself, but you have access to the postage meter. You have access to all that stuff. You have access to the meeting room if you need it. If you need office space, you have access to that. Of course, there is going to be a daily use charge or an hourly use charge depending on, and those rates are going to vary depending on location, just like your monthly fee is going to vary depending on location. Now, Opus, they have office available all over the U.S. and all over the world. I think they're in Canada, I believe they're in Germany, France, Europe, I think Australia. I forget exactly where they are, but they got offices you can have access to all over the world when you're traveling. Say you go to New York City and you want to meet with a client, you can have them come to your office. You can go rent the office for the day and have them come down to the office. It gives you a physical presence, a physical location at that city. Of course, you're probably going to go to your client's office, but still, that's an option. Like I said, the fees are going to vary depending on location. For me, I'm paying $110 a month for my virtual office up in Anchorage. That's $99 for the office and $10 a month for the fax out. Now, they can also set up virtual meetings through like Zoom. They can do conference call setup for you. You can get an app from them where you can send and receive text messages from your cell phone, but it looks like it's coming from your office phone. They have a few different options, a few different programs you can get into, a few different things you can do. It just depends on what you need for your business. Now, another reason a virtual office comes in handy and will help you out a lot, and don't forget, you can write it off on your taxes, is it gives you an air of legitimacy. When you look at like Dun & Bradstreet business credit profiles, they started doing this a couple years ago. They take a Google Street View picture of your address and they post it on your credit file. It's there for everybody to see. Now, if you have a potential customer or even somebody that's feels that you've done them wrong in some way, shape, or form, and they want to do harm to you, which does happen, as I said earlier, plan for the worst, expect for the best. Especially when it comes to doing business credit. If a vendor that you want to set up a trade line with goes to pull your credit report, they're going to look at that picture. If it's a picture of an apartment complex or a house or a RV or a mobile home, could be a post office, it could be the picture of a mailboxes, etc., any mail manage point, that's going to make you look illegitimate. They're not going to want to do business for you. And they have a database. The credit vendors have databases of these locations. They know where they're all at. And as soon as their computer matches the address up, you're automatically going to get denied on your business credit. And another way this helps you out is, yes, you can use mailboxes, etc. You can use the UPS store. You can use a post office box as an alternate mailing address for any business correspondences. You want to have that physical business location. You want them to look at it and say, oh, okay, it's an office. This guy's legitimate. He's credible. If you have a home-based business, in most cities, you're illegal. In most cities, you cannot operate a home-based business. In some apartment complexes, it's part of your lease agreement. And if you're renting a house, it could be part of your lease agreement. You cannot carry out any business. You cannot run a business from that house. This is a liability for the property owner. If something happens and you get sued, you're operating out of your home, there is a very slim chance, but still a chance, that that property could be seized as part of the awarded damages. So you want to make sure you're doing everything right. You want to make sure you're doing everything legitimately. Now, say something happens, or you have somebody working for you remotely. You have like a brokerage agent you hired, somebody to work for you as an agent, and they feel that you slighted them in some way, and they want to take revenge on you. They look up the address, they're going to see a picture of a house or an RV park or a trailer park or an apartment. Chances are greater that they're going to do something stupid. But they look at it and they see a nice, clean, crisp, sharp office complex or office building. They're less likely to do something stupid. You're removing a lot of the liability and risk, and you're adding a lot of security because they know there's going to be people around, there's going to be surveillance cameras, and they're less apt to do something stupid. And again, this helps you too if you're in a jurisdiction where working from home is illegal. No, that's my office right there. Here's my office address. And it also serves as a business hang where you hang your business license. Now, some shippers won't work with you. Some carriers won't work with you if they know up front that you're a home-based business. You have an office, a physical office, that works out in your favor. Yes, it's a little at an expense, but it pays for itself in the long run. So now you got your office set up. You have a business office. You have a business address, a legitimate legal street address, a business office. Now you're going to want to go and get your EIN. You're going to go over to the IRS.gov website. You go up top right corner in that little search window with the magnifying glass. You're going to type in apply for EIN, hit enter. That'll give you two options, apply by mail or apply online. Just go ahead and click on apply online. It only takes about 10 or 15 minutes to fill out the paperwork to get your EIN. They're going to want to know stuff from you like your address, your birth date, your social security number. They want to make sure that you're a U.S. citizen and you have a valid social security number. And they're going to link that EIN to it. Now, you fill it out. In one section there, they're going to ask you why you're filling it out, for banking purpose, starting a new business, acquiring a business. A few different things they're going to ask you. You just got to pick off the one that best suits you. For us, it's starting a new business. Or you can check opening a business bank account or establishing a business bank account. They're going to ask you the entity type. For me anyways, it's an LLC. Now, when it comes to different corporation types, I should have said this sooner. Each one has its pros and cons. Each one has its different tax liabilities and tax protections. You're going to want to talk to a CPA or an accountant, whoever does your taxes. Find out what's going to be the best entity type to file for your situation. Everybody's situation is going to be different. Everybody's going to be different. And this type of situation here, no two businesses are alike. No two situations are alike. Talk to them. Talk to a business attorney. Get their feedback, their insight. Find out what's going to be best for you and your business. I have found personally that it is an LLC. Now keep in mind, I am not a tax professional. I am not a tax attorney. I am not a business attorney. I'm just giving you my personal insights based off of my years of experience and my personal experiences in different areas. I've had different types of entities over the years. Each entity type a little bit different, so each filing is going to be different. But for me, I find the LLC is best suited for me. You got to fill all that out. They're going to ask you for the NAISC code, the NAISC code. This is a code that is assigned to all business types. I don't care if you're a post hole digger on a farm, if you're doing underwater basket weaving, if you're a kid with a lemonade stand, or you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation doing software. Every business has a specific NAISC code assigned to it that identifies to the government, okay, this is this number here means he's doing this type of business. It's a uniform code, because many businesses can be described different ways, and you have 5 different descriptions for a business that's doing the exact same thing. This NAISC code uniforms it, makes it the same all across. So when you're setting up for a broker, you want to use the code 488510. It's 488510 is the NAISC code for a person or business that arranges for the movement and transportation of freight for hire. You're going to need this number again when you do your incorporation. But first you need it for your EIN application. Now you've got your EIN, you complete it. At the end, they're going to give you 2 options. Have it mailed to you or download a copy of it. Open up the PDF, save a copy of your SS4, which is what the form is called, that has your EIN number on it, your employer identification number. This is the social security number of your business. You're going to download a copy of it and print a copy of it. Keep that printed copy in a safe spot. The downloaded copy of it, if you're like me, and I hope you are, you have a backup drive. I have a NAS, an NAS system, a network attached storage, that everything on my system gets backed up to every night. I also store everything on an external hard drive. I plug it in to the USB port when I'm working. When I'm done working, I save everything on it, back it up to the NAS, and then I unplug it and throw it in my fire safe, so if anything happens, I have it. If that drive happens to get corrupted, I have a backup of my NAS. Like we say in the Army, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Always have a backup, always have a spare, no matter what it is. So now you have your EIN, you have your office set up. What are you going to do next? Well, you need to obtain a registered agent. A registered agent is like your BOC3, your BOC3. Your BOC3 is your National Association of Registered Agents. A registered agent is somebody that will accept on your behalf any legal documents, pleadings, subpoenas, lawsuits, anything like that. Any official notices from the government will be served on this person. And they're just a way for the government and the courts to confirm that you were served. So you can't say, well, I never got served. Well, your registered agent is going to say, yes, he did. He was served on such and such a day, and I delivered it to him on such and such a day, and such a time, at such and such a place. He was served. Now, for a corporation, you have to set up a registered agent. In some areas, it can be a officer of the corporation. In other states, it cannot be anybody directly associated with the corporation. Like in Alaska, where I'm incorporated, I had to hire an outside agency. I had to hire another individual, a professional registered agent, to act as my registered agent when I filed my paperwork. That cost me $120 for the year. Each state's going to be different when it comes to that. So I got my registered agent set up. Now I'm going to go over to the Secretary of State's website for the state I want to apply and establish my business entity in. For me, again, it was Alaska. Why am I doing it in Alaska when I live in Las Vegas? I'm getting ready to relocate to Alaska, so I'm setting everything up for the city of Anchorage where I want to move to. Now, Alaska is the most expensive state to file a articles in. It's the most expensive state to create your business entity. $250. The cheapest state, Florida. $35 in Florida to file your articles of organization, articles of incorporation, articles of formation, whatever they want to call it. This is the company's birth certificate. This is telling the government, hey, there's a new business, a new life has just been created, like I said earlier. That's your company's birth date. Whatever you put on that, that is your company's birth certificate. They're going to ask you for that NAICS code again, that NAISC code, that 488510. So they know what type of business you're in. And when they go and they do the review on it, because it does get audited, to make sure it's filled out properly, the right information is on it, you're in the right categories, and you're in the right business class. Then they'll send it back off to you. Well, they won't send it back off to you. You'll download it right from their website. You'll download your certificate of good standing and your articles of formation showing that you just established the business. Now you're going to take all that information and copies of those forms. You're going to go over to the state's business licensing website. For up in Alaska, it's the Department of Economic Development. I went over there, I applied for my state business license. In this instance, I just went with a general business license. They do not have licenses specifically for freight brokers there. I went to the borough of Anchorage, which Anchorage has boroughs rather than counties. Like Louisiana doesn't have counties, they have parishes. But it's the county, the borough is the county. Contacted them and said, hey, I'm opening up a freight brokerage business here. My basic code, if you want to look it up, is 488510. Do you require any specific or special licensing other than the general state business license? They looked it up. They said, nope, you're good. As long as you got the state business license, you're good. We don't have any special licensing here in the borough. Okay, thank you. Then I called over to the city of Anchorage, called the city's business licensing department. Hey, I'm getting ready to open up a freight brokerage business here. The NAICS code is 488510. I already have my business entity set up. I have my state general business license. Does the city require any licensing? I checked with the county, with the borough. They do not. They're going to look it up and they're going to say, no, as long as you got the state business license, you're good to go. And boom, now I'm done. I have my state business license. I have my business entity set up. I have my registered agent. I have my physical office set up. Now, when I registered for my articles of incorporation there, when I incorporated the LLC, it was $250. I had to pay an additional $100 because I needed to file it as a foreign corporation because I'm not physically currently myself located yet in Alaska. I'm down in Nevada, so it was an extra $100 to file as a foreign corporation. But still, the process was still the same. So, What have I paid already? Oh, okay, let me step back here one more second. Now that I've got my EIN, I've got my state business license, I've got my articles of incorporation, my certificate of good standing. What was my next step? I called my bank. Yeah, hello, Navy Federal Credit Union. I just started a new business. I need to open up my business checking account. Now, ahead of time, I went online. I downloaded the business application. I downloaded all the forms, made everything was filled out, ready to go in advance before I called them, which saved me a lot of time. I was on the phone for about an hour and 15 minutes, I think it was, establishing my business bank account. If you don't have everything filled out ahead of time, it can take you 2 or 3 hours on the phone trying to establish your business bank account. Or it can take you 2 or 3 hours in person if you go to your local branch to fill it out. Now, I bank with Navy Federal Credit Union. And their regulations, their rules are to open a business account. You and every member of your corporation, every member of the business must have a Navy Federal personal account, and that account must be in good standing. Meaning your bank account's not overdrawn and your credit cards aren't over the limit that you have with them. You don't owe them any money. And the longer you've been with them, the better off you are. Now, being that it's a credit union, I had to put $5 into a share account to open up my savings account, which then allowed me to open up my business account. I did this both for my personal checking account and personal savings, and now for my business savings and business personal account. And the minimum deposit required to open up the business checking account was $100. The minimum deposit required to open up the savings account was $5. That $5 goes in the account, but you never see it in your balance. That's just a application fee. That's a member fee to join the union. And if you decide to close the account back and you don't owe them any money, you'll get that $5 back. It's just to hold your account. So where am I at now on the road to establishing my freight brokerage? How much have I spent out so far? Well, the EIN filing is free. My virtual office, $210 up front. It's $110 a month for the office, and it was $100 processing and setup fee. My registered agent was $120 for the year. My articles of organization, my company's birth certificate, was $350. That's my LLC. My business license for the state, $250. That's just a straight general business license. The city and the county did not require them. Some cities and counties do require business licenses for specific businesses. For instance, in Las Vegas, I did the rideshare thing for a little while, the Uber Lyft, just make a little extra money. I did Uber Eats, Postmates, delivering food and what have you. I had to have a business license from the state, a transportation network company business license. Then I had to go to the county, Clark County, and get another local county business license to work rideshare and food deliveries in the county. That was $25. The state business license was, I think it was $125. Had to have both. This only applied to Clark County. My county, next door, you didn't need anything but the state business license. They didn't make you get a county license. Pizza delivery guys working for Domino's, they have to have that $25 county business license to deliver the food. Each place is different. Each fee is going to be different. Like I said, to file my articles in Alaska, $250. If I was to file in Florida, $35. Each state's different. When I did the articles of incorporation for my old C Corp, when I used to own a small repo company up in New England and Rhode Island, I think my articles was like $135 I paid. But I lived in this state, so that's all it cost me. But if you're filing outside of a state you live in, or you're going to end up paying a foreign fee, they call it, which is not a big deal. It's still write off part of it on your taxes, so it's not a big deal. It's not a huge loss. It's just a inconvenient upfront cost. So I got my articles of incorporation filed. That was $350. I got my business license. Business license was $250. The articles was $350. Open up my bank account. That was $105. My total right now is $1,135. No, $1,135 just to set up the business. This has not including what I have to go through to get my broker authority. Now, I went and joined the TIA, the Transportation Intermediaries Association, which is the top one out there. They're a lobbying force in Washington for transportation brokers, independent operators, and whatnot. I'm also a member of OOIDA, but I'm not including those fees in this. OOIDA is the Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association, which is another good association to join. But I joined TIA. A lot of shippers use TIA. I went through them for the broker training program. Now, they're the only ones that give a legitimate, bona fide certification for brokers. There are other companies out there. I've seen them from $100 all the way up to $7,500. Other brokers that are doing their own training and offering to teach you how to be a freight broker for an exorbitant amount of money, only to give you a certificate of completion at the end that isn't worth the paper it's printed on. You're going to call a shipper up, and the shipper's going to say, "Oh, are you certified?" "Yeah, I went through Jimmy Joe's backyard freight broker training. I'm certified by them." You're going to say, "Who? That's not a certification. We can't work with you." Click. Well, you say, "Oh yeah, I'm certified through TIA." "Oh, excellent. Hey, great. Good to know. Great program. Glad to have you." I went to my breaker training there. Got that. So, "Oh yeah, I'm also a member of TIA." "Excellent. We're a member of TIA too. Welcome aboard." That membership opens a lot of doors for you. A lot of carriers, a lot of shippers, and brokers are members of the TIA. And TIA doesn't just take anybody. You have to apply to them. There is a vetting process. They want to make sure you're a legitimate, reputable business. They want to see 3 trade lines. They want to see credit references. And of course, I understand it can take you a year or more to get your trade references set up. But if you have a policy to pay your carriers within 30 days, they accept that as well. And I will be offering quick pay for my carriers, and I'll get more into that a little later on when I talk about factoring. So, now to apply for my broker authority, I wanted to make sure there were no errors or omissions. Even the slightest little punctuation in the wrong spot can cost you issues with your application or later on down the road during your annual colonoscopies. If they catch something off on the application or on the paperwork, you could be facing tens of thousands of dollars in fines, or you could be shut down altogether. So you want to make sure everything's done properly and filled out correctly. That's why you want to go through a professional organization like DAT. DAT does a lot of the transportation management software, the TMS programs. They do a lot of the load boards. They have a whole host and slew of activities and things available for the owner-operators, the shippers, the carriers, and the brokers alike. Now, it cost me $685 to have them file my paperwork. Out of that $685, they only kept $135 for their setup fee. It's a professional service. It's tax deductible to 75%. 75%, rented lips. 75% of that $135 I can write off of my taxes. Now, of the other $350, $300 of it went to pay my OP1 filing. That's your operating authority, your MC number. Your DOT number, your MCS 150 form doesn't cost anything to file. Then the other $250 was for my BOC3, my BOC3, my national network of registered agents. You cannot use a BOC3 agent for your articles of incorporation when you set up your business entity. At least not in Alaska. I don't know about other states. Each state, again, is different. So that was $550 right there just to apply for my operating authority and set up my Bot 3, which you have to have filed at the same time. So they take care of everything, and because I'm going through them, when I go to set up the load boards, set up the TMS, and other programs that they have that I will be using, like the onboarding program and a few other things. First 30 days of use of those are free to get you acclimated to it and get you set up and you're comfortable using it. And then there's a 10% discount off of these services because you went through with them to set up your entity. Hey, every penny you can save is a dollar earned, right? So after you file those, once you get your email in saying that they have accepted your application, now's the time to start, because it takes a few weeks yet before your authority goes active. You just issued your numbers. It still takes a couple weeks before you can actually start brokering loads. In the meantime, now's the time to start calling around shippers, calling around carriers, trying to set up accounts. They might not want to talk to you if your authority isn't active yet, but you got to talk them into it. You got to find your way into the conversation and get them to trust you. And you tell them, hey, look, I will give you a call on the day it goes active to let you know, so you can, when you have a free moment, you can jump on the FMCSA website and see that I'm active and authorized, and then we can start moving some freight. So, there's still a couple more filings you need to do. You need to set up your business insurance. Now you need to post, as a broker, you need to post a $75,000 bond, the BMC 84, or put $75,000 into a trust fund, the BMC 85. Me, I went with the BMC 85 with the $75,000 trust because it was cheaper for me. I was a victim of ID theft. My credit is in the trash right now. I had somebody, this happened a couple of years ago. Earlier this month, somebody got in there again, tried to open up a $50,000 credit line. They tried to take out a charge card at Cabela's, and they even had utilities turned on in an apartment in Excelsior, Minnesota, under my information. They even tried to file a false unemployment insurance claim in Ohio, and I just had to take a DNA paternity test to prove that I'm not some girl's father that I've never heard of down in Ohio that filed for child support using my information. I know it's not my kid. I don't even know who this woman is. So, I mean, they base your insurance, they don't go by your insurance score. My insurance score is perfect. I have like an 800 insurance score. Because I've had auto insurance for years, never had any losses, don't have any lapses. I have renter's insurance. I've had business insurance in the past, homeowner's insurance. So, I mean, if they base it off your insurance score, I'd be golden. But because they base it off your personal credit score and with everything, I finally got my score back up to 681 from a 450. But with the recent attacks on my credit profile again, my score got pulled down to 601. Well, I started calling around trying to get the best rates I could for the insurance bond. I had people giving me quotes of over $9,000 per quarter. Every 3 months, they wanted almost $10,000 from me for the BMC 84. I got a hold of this one guy, Scott, over Pacific Financial. I will leave his number below. And again, this is not an affiliate program. He's not sponsoring me. He's not giving me anything for referring him to you guys if you're looking for a good insurance broker for either your insurance bond or your trust. This guy, once I explained to him my situation, he understood what was going on. He got the insurance bond from $9,750 a quarter down to $2,750 a quarter. However, on the trust side, he was able to get that all the way down to $815 a quarter. Every 3 months, $815. So I went, of course, with the trust because it was less expensive for me. Gives me the same coverage for the BMC 85. Now, the difference between a trust and a insurance bond is an insurance bond, you're locked into that for a year. A trust, you can walk away from it at any time and go to somebody else. Now, say I've got another company, say Quality Bonding. I don't know if they exist. I'm just throwing that name out there off the top of my head. They turn around and say, hey, we can get your insurance bond down to $1,750 a quarter. Would you like to switch over? My first thought is, yeah, sure, why not? I'd rather pay you $1,750 a month than pay Scott $2,750 a month. The problem with that is, if I switch over to this guy, number one, I got to make sure there's an overlap. I got to make sure Quality's bond is in place and registered and accepted before my current bond with Scott expires. So I want to pay for that first bond at least 15 days in advance to let them get it filed and get it accepted and approved by the FMCSA. Say I file that on the 1st, my bond with Scott expires on the 15th. Well, I want their bond in place, covering me and protecting me by the 10th or the 11th at the latest. So now I got that overlay. So when the bond from Scott falls off, I'm still bonded. I'm still protected. If there's a break in between, even a second, if Scott reports to him that on January 15th at 12 a.m. and 1 second, Bear's insurance policy was canceled. And I don't have another insurance policy overriding it, covering it, overlapping from Quality. Guess what's going to happen? My authority will automatically be suspended as of 12 a.m. and 1 second. And 1 second past midnight that day, the 15th, I'm out of business. I'm done. I'm shut down. Now, if it's my insurance from Quality doesn't take effect until the 17th, well, I got that 2-day lap. I'm screwed. Now I'm operating without authority. My authority's been suspended, and all of my shippers and my carriers are going to be notified that, hey, he's no longer insured. His authority is now suspended. If I did have an overlap from Quality, 5 days earlier, they got a notice. Bear switched insurance company. His new insurance provider is Quality. Now, on the 15th, when Scott falls off, I've still got this over top of it. They're going to look and say, they're going to get notified that Scott's no longer my insurance provider. However, I already have a new insurance policy in place, so I'm covered, I'm good, I'm still active, I'm legitimate. But if it doesn't, my new policy doesn't go into effect until noon on the 15th, and at 1 second past midnight on the 15th, my policy with Scott cancels or closes out, there's that 12-hour gap that I don't have insurance. I'm now suspended because of that 12 hours. I'm going to have to pay a couple $1,000s to reinstate my authority. And I could end up hit with tens of thousands of dollars in fines if I have a load moving at that time. Say I broke a load out to ABC Trucking. They picked it up on the 14th. They picked it up 5 o'clock on the 14th. It doesn't deliver until 5 o'clock on the 18th. While that load's moving down the road, that load's not even while it's moving, while it's sitting on a truck, while I have that dispatch pending, even if it hasn't been picked up yet, I'm contracted on that load. I'm now operating without authority. Now I'm screwed. So I got to make sure it's very important that if you do decide to change insurance carriers, that they are overlapping, and the new bond, the new BMC 84 has already been accepted. Now the other thing is, though, this guy's going to save me $1,000 a month, $1,000 every quarter. Great, excellent, love to save money. The problem is, I've now doubled my quarterly expense because I still got to pay Scott for the rest of the year. I still got to pay Scott that $2,750 for the rest of the year that I owe him on that bond I'm on. So it's pointless to change bonds just because it's less money. You might be looking at, oh, hey, I'm saving $1,000, $1,750 compared to $2,750. I'm going with $1,750. The heck with the $2,750. Well, you still have to pay that $2,750 every quarter to Scott, even though he's no longer your insurance agent. So you end up costing yourself more money in the long run. If you're going to do it towards the end of your current insurance bond. So say your bond expires in December 15th. By November 15th, you should have already notified Scott, hey Scott, I'm not going to be renewing my bond here. I'm giving you a 30-day notice, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for all your help, but I'm going with somebody else that's going to give me a lower rate. Scott's mostly going to say, oh, hold on a minute. What kind of rate are they going to give you? Oh, they're going to give it to you for $1,750 instead of the $2,750. Hold on a minute. Don't do anything here. Let me see what I can do for you. Let me see if I can pull some strings here. He'll call you back a couple hours later. Hey, tell you what, I got you down to $1,500 a quarter if you stay with us. You're going to stay with him. Now, I hate to say it, you're using that as a little bit of leverage. You're using that over top of him to get him to pull your rates down. And if you've stayed with him for a year, chances are your rates are coming down anyways. So it would behoove you to stay where you're at. Now, when you're talking about a BM85, a trust, that's a walkaway. That is a complete walkaway. You still want to make sure you have the same overlapping coverage. Why I tell Scott, hey Scott, I know you're charging me $850 a quarter. That's great, I love it, but Quality Bonding over here wants to offer me the same thing at $500 a month. I think I'm going to be switching, or not $500 a month, rather $500 a quarter. I'm going to be switching over to them. They're going to be saving me $315 every quarter. Scott says, hey, hold on, don't do anything yet. Let me see if I can do something and get you a better rate. And he might come back and say, hey, I got you down to $475, or I can match that. If you want to stay with us, I'll match it, $500 a quarter. He wants to keep you there. Not only because it helps him out, but it also it's going to help you out with the overlap, and you don't risk a inadvertent lack of coverage in the middle and cause it a bunch of grief and headaches. Although, in this case, being a walkaway, you can still leave if you want to and go over to Quality. Tell Scott, no, I appreciate your effort, but yeah, I'm going to try these guys out. Thank you. If anything changes, I might come back. Well, now your payment stopped. You don't owe Scott anything on the trust, which you're not locked into it for a full year like you are with the insurance bond. That's why I feel, in my personal opinion, a BMC 85 is the better of the two choices if you can get a good rate like this. And did I mention the SCAC code, the SCAC code? The SCAC code is something that you're not required to have, but it is your best interest to have it. Some shippers are going to ask you, oh, what's your SCAC code? If you can't give them a SCAC code, you can say, I'm sorry, we can't work with you. Your SCAC code is a national registry for your business that assigns a 4-digit letter code to your business. It makes it easier. It's basically shorthand in the business world for recording business information. And of course, you still need to follow your UCR. Your UCR is mandatory. Uniform Carrier Registration. As of July this year, 2020, brokers are now required to have a UCR file, or you're not legitimate. Whereas the SCAC is not required, but it'd be well worth your efforts to have. Now, your SCAC code is $80 a year. Your UCR is about $60 a year. If you're just a straight broker, it's only going to cost you $60 a year from 0 to 5 trucks. And the more trucks you have, the more money it costs you a year. If you have, I think, 2,500 trucks, the SCAC or the UCR filing is like $60,000. So the more trucks you have, the more it costs you for your UCR filing every year. If you don't have any trucks and you're just a broker, it's only going to cost you the base $60. So where are we at now on expenses? Not including the business setup. I'm talking about just on obtaining your authority, joining the TIA, getting your broker training through TIA, So you're talking $1,465 for TIA, $685 to DAT. Again, you want to make sure you're using a business that does its setups professionally, so you reduce your risk and liability. Your UCR filing is $60. Your SCAC code is $80. In my case, my insurance trust was $815. Total there is $3,105. That's just to get the authority. Add that to setting up my business entity. My total out-of-pocket upfront expenses is $4,240. May as well say $4,250 to get started. Now keep in mind, none of this includes your TMS, your transportation management software, which you don't need up front. You can do it old school, a spreadsheet on your computer or pen and paper, do it the old school way. But eventually you're going to want to set up a TMS, and you're going to want to transfer all that information over to your TMS system. You're going to need to set up an EDI, a electronic data transfer system. You're going to need access to load boards. They can be from $50 to $250 a month, depending on the load board you go with. Like I said, if you go through DAT to set up your authority, you're going to save your first 30 days use of the load board to post your loads is going to be free, and you're going to save 10% every month after that. So these are the expenses you got to take into consideration. Then you also have to take into consideration your operating costs. You don't have $25,000 or more on hand for your first 30 days in cash. Your shippers can take 30 days, 60, 90 days to pay. If you don't have the cash up front so you can pay your carriers right away, you're not going to last long in this business. That's where factoring plays an important role in it. Now, you can set up factoring, and they will pay for you. What you do is you set up factoring. I'm going with Axle Payments. I wanted to go with Triumph, but they want you to be in business for a full year as a broker before they will accept you in the factoring. I mean, I've been a driver for over a decade. I've been in this industry for a minute, but nope, you got to be a actual broker for a full year. So, I went with Axle. Excuse me. Axle's only charging me a flat 3% of the face value of the invoice. So say my invoice to a shipper is $3,000. They get $30. And they pay you right then and there. And they wait the 30, 60 days, whatever it is, to get paid by the shipper. They act as your accountant, so to speak. They bill the shipper for you, and they pay you, and they receive the payment, they pay you, and they pay your carrier directly. So you don't have to worry about making sure your carrier is paid, going through factoring. They take care of it for you. Now they take 3% of it. What they'll do is they'll pay the carrier 100% of what he's owed. They'll pay you 90% of what you're owed. They will hold 10% in reserve. Then when the shipper gets paid, they will release that 10%. They'll keep their 3% commission and give you the remaining 7% that you're owed. They take care of all the collections, notifications, and everything if the shipper doesn't pay or if they're slow to pay. Now, of course, if something happens and the shipper absolutely refuses to pay for whatever reason, if they go out of business, what have you, well, the factoring company still owed that money. So they're going to withhold from your next few settlements more than 10%. You're not going to get your full 90% pay. They might take it all. They might only take a portion of it until what they paid out on the load for that company that went under or refused to pay is that debt is satisfied. Now I'm set up with Axle. I'm going to be doing pretty much quick pay for my carriers. I know some of you guys are going to call me ignorant and stupid and crazy for walking away and leaving money on the table, but I just feel this is good business sense to do this, good customer relations. I know some of you brokers out there are charging anywhere from 2% to 10% of what you're paying the carrier to do quick pay, to pay them fast instead of making them wait until the shipper pays. Most carriers expect to be paid within 30 days. Quick pay, you're paying them within 7 to 10 days. Me, I'm going to be offering next day payments. And I'm not charging them a convenience fee to do this. It's their money. I'm not taking it from them. And some people are going to call me crazy and stupid for walking away and leaving that money on the table. But like I said, I think it's customer service. I think it's going to go a long way with some of my carriers too. That I'm not, okay, parking lot, cut me off. It's going a long way in the eyes of my carriers. They give me a better working relationship. Give me, make me more reputable, and hopefully better love than some of you brokers out there. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I'm not going to charge a convenience fee to do quick pay. And as long as they get the paperwork to me, they deliver the load at 8 o'clock this morning. As long as they have the pods, which is proof of delivery, the signed bill of lading, they have the signed rate confirmation and their invoice over to me, as well as anything else like lumber fees or anything like that. Hopefully there won't be any lumber fees. I'm trying to avoid lumber fees at all costs. Any accessory charges like for tarping the load, as long as all that's on there and they get it to me with their invoice by 10 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, they'll be paid by the next day. Get it to me by 10 a.m. Gives me time to collate and process everything, get my invoice together, and get it all over to the factoring company. By 5 p.m. that day, the factoring company will have the invoices processed. As long as all the paperwork is in order, everything's signed, and everything's done right, they will issue a payment after 5 p.m. So it'll either be to the driver that night or the next day the driver will be paid. And I'll get 90% of what I'm owed on that load the next day. This keeps income coming, keeps loads moving, keeps the wheels turning. But because I am doing this, I'm not planning on offering fuel or cash advances. Now, if you guys were having to wait 10 days or a month or something to get paid, I might consider doing a fuel advance on limited cases. But I am talking to somebody about possibly offering fuel advances. But that won't be for a couple months down the road before I will do that. And to be eligible for a fuel advance or any type of cash advance, I know what it's like. I'm a driver. I've been a driver. I was an owner-operator for years. I know what it's like sometimes out here. You need to have money up front. Maybe you had a breakdown, a blowout or something the day earlier, leaves you short, and you need a couple bucks for laundry, food, fuel, what have you. I understand there are times when you're going to need to take a cash advance. Right now, I cannot do that, but I will be able to do that in the next couple of months. However, you will have to have been with me for a minimum of 90 days, and during that 90 days, you will have to have moved a minimum of 10 loads. That's just the requirements I'm setting up for. But keep in mind, when it comes to getting you guys paid quick pay, getting you guys paid next day, I'm not charging you a convenience fee. I'm trying to save you some money there. Now, of course, if you get the paperwork to me after 10 a.m., chances are you're going to have to wait an additional day to get paid, especially if I've already transmitted everything to the factoring company. Now, factoring company, they're charging me 3% of whatever the total invoice is. That's 3% of what you're being paid and 3% of what I'm being paid. They keep. You still get your full 100%. I only get 97% of what's due me on that load, and they keep the other 3%. Which is fair. I mean, that's how they finance. That's how they're able to afford to advance payments out like that. give you guys a quick rundown here. So let's recap everything here real quick before I get into the time frames and how long it's taken me to get a shipper and a carrier. So on my initial business setup, just for the business side itself, to set up the business license and the entity, again, that was $1,135. That was $210 to set up my virtual office, which you're not required to do, but you'd be smart to do it. That was $120 for me to set up my resident agent. It was $350 for me to file my articles of incorporation to get my business birth certificate as somebody that doesn't live in Alaska yet. My Alaska State business license, general license, was $250, and to set up my bank account for the business was $1,135. Oh, that was $105 to set that up. It was $1,135 total to set up the business with the banking account. Then for my authority, it was $1,465 to join TIA and do their broker training. It was $685 to let DAT file my OP1 for my operating authority. To file my Block 3 was $250, and then their fee $135, which is very, very reasonable. Then my UCR registration was $60. My SCAC code registration was $80. My business insurance was $815 for the first quarter on the trust fund. The total there was $3,105, bringing my grand total out of pocket up front to get started $4,240 to get started, get up and running, and ready to go. Now, I just thought about something when I was doing that, and now I forgot what it was. Oh, okay, on the TIA. Now, the nice thing about TIA and going through their broker training program and being a member, they include the contracts. They give you bulletproof contracts that have been written by attorneys and are used by tens of thousands of carriers and brokers and shippers all across the country. There's certain things you do not want to see in your contract. If a shipper says, no, we have to use our contract, read it very carefully and look for lines in there where they're going to place liability solely on your shoulders if something happens and the load is damaged or lost. Truck catches on fire and burns to the ground with the load on it. Jackknifes in the winter and damages. Anything can happen to a load. It can be stolen. Somebody can break into the truck while he's taking his 10-hour nap. And cargo theft is on the rise. Truck theft is on the rise. That liability rests solely with the carrier. But if the carrier is unwilling or unable to pay, the shipper's going to expect you to pay for it. So do not, make sure there's no clauses in there that puts 100% liability on you. And there's a few other things in there too you want to look for, which I'll go over contracts in another video. If you're a member of TIA and not going through the broker startup program, they charge you $495 for the contracts. If you are not a member of TIA, it's like $1,200 for the contracts. Remember, these contracts are used nationwide. They were prepared by attorneys in the transportation industry. And a lot of these shippers you go to, they're using those contracts. When you're talking to them on the phone, you say, yeah, I want to send over my contract. They say, no, we have to use our contract. Some of them only use their own contract. They'll send it over. You look at it and say, hey, that's my contract. What do you mean? Well, that's a TIA contract, right? I'm a member of TIA. This is the same contract I use. Guess what? You're a member of TIA. That gives you an added level of integrity. That tells him, well, this guy's been vetted by a professional association. If he's been accepted by them, he's using their contracts. That gives you more legitimacy. And they're going to be, hey, you're TIA. Welcome aboard. Put her there. So it's going to open up some doors for you with both carriers and shippers. I mean, like that, joining those associations is real good. They will help you out, especially when you're dealing with carriers You mentioned, oh yeah, I'm an OOIDA member. That'll carry some weight with some carriers, especially owner-operators who've been at it for a while, and they're members of it. OOIDA does a lot of lobbying and a lot of work in Washington for carriers. The TIA does a lot of work and a lot of good for intermediaries and a lot of lobbying for us in DC. The Transportation Intermediaries Association. What's an intermediary? You're a load broker. You're the middleman. You're the intermediate between the shipper and the carrier. You're the middleman. You're the intermediary. And again, their broker training is the only one that's bona fide. It's the only one that's recognized. These fly-by-nighters and these guys are doing their own training on the side. I don't want to mention any names. I don't want to mention any companies. I mean, I've looked at some of their programs and their videos online. Some of it's good training, but at the same time, they're giving you bad information by telling you they're going to certify you for all this money you're paying, only to find out that certification is useless. Basically, on that point alone, they are defrauding you, and all of their legitimacy has gone out the window. So how long did it take me from start to finish to get my broker authority? Well, by the way, guys, I just realized we're already an hour and 25 minutes. I'm really hoping you're sticking with me and you're getting a lot of good value out of this. And so please make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to ring that notification bell when so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And remember to smash the crap out of that thumbs up button. Give me that like. Let YouTube know that you've been here this long and that you like what I've had to say and that you're getting value and a little bit of free education. All it's costing you is time to hear my wisdom, and it only takes you less than a second to smash that thumbs up. So, come on, guys. So how long did it take me from start to finish? Well, starting out on November the 17th, 2020, I set up my virtual office. It was on November the 18th that morning. I got the email confirming that everything was set up. Here's my business phone number. Here's my business fax number. And I'll leave that all in the description below. But just for S&Gs, my business phone number is 3907-313-8409. That rings straight through to the cell phone. My business fax machine is 907-313-8408. That goes straight to my email, which actually comes out on my phone, my tablet, both my laptops, and my desktop. My MC number is 117-3367. My DOT number is 352-7860. My SCAC code, my SCAC code is MPEA. And the business, of course, is MPEA Enterprises LLC. So on November the 17th, 2020, I set up the business, the office address. The following day, the following morning on November 18th, I got the email confirmation that everything was set up. Got my office address, my suite address, the phone numbers, everything I needed to start the virtual business. Then I jumped over that morning to the IRS website and I applied for my EIN. About 15 minutes later, I had that done. I had my Form SS4. Remember, that form with your EIN on it, they do not reissue it. You cannot get another copy of it. You want to have it, print it out right then and there, keep a printed hard copy of it, and keep a digital copy of the PDF file up on your cloud and your remote storage, whatever you have, because it cannot be reissued. And that number is very important. That's your business and Social Security. Once I got my EIN, I jumped over to the Alaska Secretary of State's website, went over to the Corporations Division, and set up my business entity, my LLC. Remember, I used that NAICS, the NAISC code of 488510. Use that also on the EIN application. Took me about 15-20 minutes to get everything filled out. Prior to that, though, I almost left this part out. I did some research and found a registered agent as required by Alaska law. Got me a registered agent, set that up. That only took a few minutes to do. Little phone call, sign a piece of paper, and paid them the $120. And now I have my registered agent, had their name, their address, all their information. Then I went over to the Secretary of State's website and set up my business authority as an LLC. Again, I had to file as a foreign corporation, so it cost me $100 extra. A few minutes later, I had my certificate of good standing, had my business entity and corporation ID numbers, had my business registration number. Then I went over to the Department of Economic Development and set up my business license using all that same information, the NASIC code, the EIN number, my business entity number showing that I was a registered corporation, set all that up, paid my $250, printed out my business license right then and there. Fairly simple, right? Now we've got, in a day's time, I set up the office, I established my business entity. Then on November the 19th, 2020, I went over and notified my bank. I jumped on my bank's website, Navy Federal Credit Union. I pulled down their business registration information, filled out the application, had everything set up and ready to go ahead of time, had all my documents saved on my computer in PDF format. Jumped on the phone, spent about an hour and a half on the phone with them, uploading documents as needed, the application, giving them everything they need, letting them do their research. Now, why did I wait a day instead of opening it up the exact same day I established my entity? Well, I wanted to give it time to propagate through the system, to make its way into the governmental computers, which usually does at the midnight backup and update. So when the bank went to look up the information, they were able to easily verify it. So within about an hour and a half, I had my business banking account set up. Now we're at November 19th. I started on November 17th. November the 20th, I got back on the phone with DAT, spoke to Caroline over there. Hey, Caroline, this is Bear over at MPEA Enterprises. I spoke to you recently about setting up my brokerage authority. I'm ready to move forward. She asked me a few questions, filled out a form, sent it over to me for my signature, and I paid her the $685. She filed the paperwork. On the 21st, I got this notification that the FMCSA had accepted my application and it was pending. Thanksgiving comes and goes. November 27th, I checked it. I'm sorry, November 17th. Yeah, the 27th. Wow. Long day. I mean, I'm already an hour and a half into the video. Pardon a few tongue ties. On November 27th, I jumped online, looked it up, and November 26th, about 10:30 at night, 10:30. Before I went to bed, I decided to look and see what the status was. Earlier in that day, it was still in red, not authorized. Sometime between 5 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., it switched over. Authorized, broker authorized for property, except household goods. Again, I don't know, I can't remember if I went over this earlier or not. Household goods is a totally different authority. You'd have to pay another $75,000 bond for that. You'd have to pay another $300 for that authority. If you want to become an asset base, if you want to own a truck and have your own truck out there working, which you cannot broker loads for your own truck. You're not allowed to broker your own loads. Don't ask me why. I guess I don't know if they're worried about conflicts of interest or something, but you cannot broker your own loads. But to have your own carrier authority, that's another $300, $100,000 bond, $1 million bodily injury and property damage, $1 million general auto liability. I would say $100,000 general auto liability. So that's even more money. Household goods would be places like Mayflower and United or Allied Van Lines that only moves people's houses, moves their personal effects from one house to another. That's a totally different authority. So I I'm not authorized to do those, so I won't be brokering those loads. I'm sure some might come down the pipe, and I might be tempted to take them. I'm not touching them, and you shouldn't either if you're not authorized for household goods. So on November the 27th, I got the email from the FMCSA in the morning saying, congratulations, you've been approved, your application has been accepted. Your motor carrier number, your MC number is 117-3367. Your DOT number is 352-7860. Yay, now I'm legal, I'm authorized, I can start moving freight. Actually, no, I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not authorized yet. Not authorized yet. A little premature. Like I said, I'm tired. It's been a long video. I've been talking a lot here. This is my third take on this. So I've repeated a lot of this information to myself several times already. So please forgive me if I did repeat something on this video without realizing it. So on December 27th, I got the notice that everything had been accepted and approved. And I was told what my docket number was, which would be my MC number and my DOT number. So from there, once you get those notifications, you wait 3 days, 48 to 72 hours. I waited until December the 3rd because we were coming out of Thanksgiving break. We're going through the weekend, so I waited a couple extra days. Jumped onto the UCR website, and I filed my UCR filing for $60. Remember, as a broker, as of July of this year, the Uniform Carrier Act applies, the Uniform Carrier Registration Act, that is, applies to brokers, so you are required to have that. Without it, you are not authorized to move freight, and you're operating illegally. So I got that. My registration is good through December 31st next year. I waited and I did that on the 3rd. On the 7th, I applied for my, I went and I set up my insurance trust, my BMC 85. Got on with Scott, set everything up, saying it was $815, filled out the form. They had to email it over to somebody I designated as a witness to verify my signature. I used my father, he signed off on it, saying, yeah, that's my son's signature. Sent it back, now the documents are executed. They transmitted everything on the December the 7th over to FMCSA. On December the 8th, I was notified that the transmission went through and was accepted. I jumped on the history section of the FMCSA website under my MC number and seen that the bond had been there, that my application and bond were pending and approval. That takes 10 days. 10 days from the date that they acknowledge receipt of your BMC 84, or in my case, BMC 85, to the time your authority goes active. On December the 17th, I checked it earlier in the day, seeing if I get lucky, and it hadn't been on. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. When I shut down for the night at about 10:30 at night, I checked it one more time before I went to bed, and woo! It switched from red not authorized to blue broker authorized for property non-household goods. At that point, I can now start brokering loads. I am legal. Went to sleep happy. The next morning, the December the 18th, 10 days from the date that they accepted my BMC filing, I got that email from the FMCSA. Congratulations, your authority is now active. You're eligible to broker freight. I went over to the website, spent the $17.50 to download my certificate now so I can have it to put into my contracts. I've assembled my contracts. They're already up on my website. Brokers and shippers, you have your own contracts for each of you on my website, MPEA.us. Pull them down, fill them out, and get them back to me with the required forms. For my shippers, you will find out everything you need on the business side and my letter of assignment for you to invoice the, or for you okay to pay the invoices for actual payments on my behalf, or on my company's behalf, I should say. It's got the tax documents you're going to need there. My W-9, everything you're going to need is on yours. Over on the carrier side, it's got the broker carrier agreement. It's got a carrier profile page you need to fill out. It's got a copy of my operating authority. I think I put my UCR on there as well. Get those filled out. Get them back to me with your carrier packets. Now, carriers, your dedicated email for carrier and carrier only is carrier@mpenterprises.us. For my shippers, your dedicated address is shipper@mpenterprises.us. You guys have your own dedicated addresses, so I keep everything apart and separated. The business's general email address is obviously info@mpenterprises.us. Now for the all the company information. And on a side note, I did register for the SmartWay partnership. I am waiting for that to come in, waiting for them to get back to me to finish the setup there. And I'm also registered for CTPAT, the Customs Transportation Anti-Terrorism campaign there. I know I don't need to be registered for SmartWay, and I don't need to be registered CTPAT, but I think it's worthwhile certifications and registrations to have, and it shows that I'm taking the environment into consideration, and it's also showing that I'm taking national security into consideration, and I'm partnering with the government to fight terrorism. I'm a former military police officer. So I know that there are things that need to be done. I understand the certain steps and things that need to be done to protect this country, protect the transportation industry, the infrastructure, and everything else. So here we go. Here's all the breakdown. Here's the business information. It took a total of $4,240 to set the business up. Again, keep in mind this is not including TMS. It's not including load boards, an onboarding program, which I will be setting up an onboarding profile for my carriers through DAT. That probably won't come until the beginning of the year, which will make it a little bit easier for you guys to sign up. But yeah, out of pocket to set everything up, I'm $4,240, and it took 30 days exact from the day I started the process by setting up a business office to the time my authority went active. So not bad at all. Now, how long did it take me to start getting shippers and to start getting carriers? Well, I have one carrier I used to work for. I talked to them. They tried to talk to me coming back to work for them. But yeah, they signed up as a carrier for me. They are my first carrier. The carrier that I'm driving for right now, Western Flyer Express. When I tried talking to the individual there I need to talk to about brokering for us, I haven't heard back from them yet. They were out because of this flu that's going around. So hopefully they'll be back in the office here any day now. But today's Christmas, so I'm not expecting to see them today. But yeah, I'm hoping to have everything set up with them shortly and have these guys, Western Flyer Express, as one of my carriers. I already have shippers lined up. There's some shippers I've been to multiple times over the years. I've been a driver for over a decade. I've become friends with some of the office people in some of these places, and I was on the phone talking to somebody one day, a friend of mine. I was telling him, well, yeah, I just got my authority, just got approved. And he's like, the person behind the counter turned around when I was got off the phone. They had overheard part of the conversation. She's like, yo, Mayor, did I just hear you say you got your broker authority? Yeah. So yeah, man, you want to broker freight for us? I'm like, hell yeah. I was going to ask you anyways. She brought over the person I had to talk to. I went off to the side. We spoke for a few minutes. I gave him a copy of my agreement and all my information. They said, oh no, we have to use this application, or we have to use this agreement here. They gave me the agreement. I looked at it. I seen the TIA logo at the bottom. I say, hey, I'm a member of TIA. This is the exact same contract that I have. So you're TIA? Excellent. And that made them even happier to take me on as a broker for them. Well, Merry Christmas. It is December the 25th. My authority has been active since November the 18th. Just, 7 days? Not 18 days. Yeah, 7 days. My authority has been active for 7 days. I've already got a shipper lined up. I've got carriers lined up. I have a friend of mine who's a owner-operator. He signed on immediately. He kept telling me, as soon as you're ready to go, as soon as you got your agreement ready, get it to me. As soon as you go live, let me know. I'm ready to go start working right now. Well, in the last 7 days, I've moved a total of 3 loads, and I have made for myself in my pocket $5,000. Of 3 loads, I pocketed $5,000 profit for myself. My startup cost was $4,140. I am already in the black in a week's time from obtaining from my authority going live and active. I made $5,000 in a week off of 3 loads. They were well-paying loads. One of them's going up to Canada. That's where I made all my money at on the load going to Canada. Another one was some short haul stuff from Texas, hot shot, and another one was just a little short load up the Northeast. So I mean, I'm already $960 in profit, and I made profit within 8 days of becoming of my authority being active, and within 38 days of starting the whole process. So yes, there is money to be made. There are loads to be made. It's just going to take a little bit of patience, a little bit of time, and effort to become a broker. I'm hoping I keep up with these kinds of loads. I'm hoping I can. It'd be great to make $5,000 to $10,000 a week right off the bat. I mean, I'll be able to move a lot sooner than it's looking like I'm going to. Now, keep in mind, this is a slow point in the year for freight. I mean, my last 2 paychecks, both of them were under $500 as a driver. But then I had 2 separate breakdowns a week apart that had me down for, one of them I was down for 4 days on, the other one I was down for 3 days on. Right now for this week, I'm actually start rolling again, running good. My income for this week as a driver, after my fuel and everything, thanks to this trip here, it's an 1,800 mile trip. My pay for this week is only going to be about $850. Now as a driver, as a lease driver here, I have to pay for my truck payments, I have to make my fuel, insurance, everything. I'm getting a base rate of $1.09 a mile plus the fuel surcharge. It's about an 1,800 mile trip. My fuel is for the trip is going to cost me around $500. My truck payments, actually, you know something, exactly what we're talking here, because I already did the math on this. I got it right here. I do the math and figure out what I'm going to make on each load. No, that's the wrong one. This is the page I want. I was already $106 in the hole from my last trip, because I have an additional payment I have to make cover off of each check, and that's for my accounting company, Equinox, and I'll talk about them in a minute. So okay, this total trip is 1,909 miles plus fuel surcharge. I'm figuring fuel surcharge right now, I think it's gone up, but I'm looking at maybe 9 cents a mile. So that gives me an additional $171.81 in profit. And it's about a third of my fuel costs, estimated fuel costs for this trip. So $1,909 times $1.09 a mile plus $171.81 with the fuel surcharge. minus the 106.81 that I'm already in the hole from my first trip, between the extra fees I had to pay and my flat fee that comes off the first week, the first load. My gross starting for this load with this trip is $2,156.71. Now, the way it's set up here with my truck payments and everything, my truck payments are in two sections. I have a $145 flat fee that comes off the first load of the week, plus 23 cents a mile for every mile I drive goes to the truck payment. I pay 12 cents a mile off of every mile I drive, goes into a warranty program. It goes into my maintenance fund. Then, of course, there's my insurance, my Qualcomm fees, and other little small minor fees. That all adds up to $307.18. Then I add in $21.99 for my weekly accounting fees. I start out every week $317.18 in the hole before I even start moving. So that had to come off the first load. The first load was a little short, 255-mile trip, so I wasn't really going to make any money on that anyways. Then I have my fuel. The way I do my fuel calculations is I figure I'm going to average about 7.5 miles per gallon, and then I divide that by the miles. In this case, it's 1,909 miles dispatched. Divide that by 7.5, and then I multiply that by 2.5. It's about what the average price of fuel is at the pumps. Comes to my estimated fuel cost is $636.33 for this trip alone. Which means I am looking at a potential profit on this trip of $852.23. Notice I didn't mention any taxes coming out of it. I keep track of all my deductible expenses. I have two ways that I do that. One is through QuickBooks. Anytime I buy something, at the end of the day when I finish driving, I enter how many miles I drove for the day in the QuickBooks. I got like $78,000 in mileage deductions alone this year. It's probably even more than that. I haven't looked at it in a couple of days. Just the mileage deductions alone. I have probably close to $80,000 in deductions. Plus other deductible expenses like doing laundry, washing the truck, cleaning supplies for inside the cab, pens, pencils, paper, staples. I had to replace my GPS because it broke on me. I had to get a trucker's GPS. I got a new cell phone. My other cell phone was about 5 years old. It was dying on me. I've been having some issues with it. So it was time to upgrade the cell phone anyways. It was old and outdated. I write off a portion of that. I bought a new laptop because my main laptop, I've had that for probably 7 years. It was getting old. So I bought a new laptop that I use primarily for business. I can write off, I use about 75% of the time I use that for business, so I can write off 75% of its value on my taxes. There's other things, other deductions that I take that I'm legally eligible and allowed to take as an independent contractor, as an owner-operator. A portion of my truck payments, a portion of my insurance, and my health insurance, I got to pay that out of my pocket. But every quarter, when they calculate, when my quarterly taxes are calculated, I've only owed zero. And I also use a company called Equinox, owner-operator solution. They've been around for a long time. They're an accounting firm that only deals with trucking companies, and as more recently they started dealing with like rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft. I pay them $21.99 a week out of my settlement, and for that $21.99 I get top tier coverage. Every Monday when my settlement comes out, when I get emailed my settlement, I email a copy of it to them. On the 31st or 30th or the 28th of the month, depending on what month it is, at the last day of the month, after I put in all my expenses, I email them a out-of-pocket expense report. That has everything that I've spent, everything that's in my QuickBooks self-employed app on my phone is also on that form that I send them. They use that to calculate my deductions and look at my pay and everything and find out for each month what, if anything, I owe to the IRS for the quarter. At the end of the year, they will send me a profit and loss statement first week of January, showing how much money I made, how much money I spent, and whether I owe taxes or not. I look at that, I will compare that to my P&L, my profit and loss statement from QuickBooks Self-Employed, and match them up. That only costs me $10 a month. And keep in mind, these are professional business expenses. They are tax deductible. My Sirius XM radio is tax deductible. Cell phone bill. You use your phone while you're on the road to call shippers, call brokers, to keep in contact with your company. That's all business-related expense. My Wi-Fi hotspot, I write that off because I use that for mapping, weather, radar, email for business-related emails. So I write off a set portion of that. I think about 75% of that is what I'm claiming, because I do use some of it for personal, for online gaming and chatting and surfing the web. So I do collect all the deductions I can. I mean, there's many, many deductions as an owner-operator you can take. You used to be able to take some of these deductions as a company driver. You can no longer do that. They took a lot of the deductions away, and that's what hurt me back in 2013. My gross for the year was $186,000. After all my overhead, my expenses and everything, that year was terrible. I took home $11,700. I was expecting a tax return of around $20,000. The new changes went into effect, and I was a company driver at the time, so I lost all my deductions. I ended up owing the IRS over $35,000 that year. I couldn't afford to pay my property taxes on my house, so Wayne County in Michigan took my house away from me because I couldn't afford my property taxes. I owed 3 times more in taxes than I made that year as a driver. I was not happy. Still not. So yeah, it can be a little expensive to get started if you don't have $5,000 laying around. But as you can see, you can make that money back fairly quickly. And of course, if I did, yay me. Oh geez, stop it. Alright. Jesus, Monty Python guys. So yeah, I mean, that's where we're at right now. I hope you guys find all this. I mean, we're going on 2 hours. Wow, can this boy talk? So I hope you guys find all this information useful and viable for you. And I will leave the information in below for Equinox if you want to check them out for your brokerage, to keep track of your records. Now, the nice thing about having QuickBooks Self-Employed and using the DAT's TMS software and the load board, they're all integrated. I can integrate my QuickBooks into my DAT TMS, my transportation management software, to keep track of all my expenses. So once I enter it in there, boom, it's automatically done. It automatically records the invoices that go out, how much I'm getting paid from each shipper, how much I'm paying each carrier, how much I'm paying to the factoring company, and how much I'm making. And then with that, I can calculate my quarterly business taxes and personal taxes and get them sent out if I need to pay anything, which I'm thinking I'm going to end up having to pay some taxes this year coming up because, well, I'm going to lose a lot of my deduction because I'm no longer driving. But there are self-employment taxes and everything. Now, getting paid for myself, I put myself on salary. I'm not going to commingle my money. I'm not going to share business and personal checking accounts. I'm going to share that money. The business money is the business money. My personal money is my personal money. I'm not going to go and take money out of the the business bank account and put it into my personal checking account to pay me. I set up payroll through ADP. I put myself on salary. So when I start, I got it set up, so I'm going to start issuing checks to myself in January I pretty much want everything to start off at the beginning of the year with a clean slate, mostly for tax purposes. I really don't want to have the tax liability that I'm taking on right now by brokering those 3 loads to get started. I really don't want that tax liability. Because now I got to pay taxes on that at the end of this year, so I'm probably going to end up owing taxes this year, but that's okay. But I got that set up with direct deposit. So I just go in every week or every 2 weeks, however I end up deciding to pay myself. I've already got everything set up in the system. Where I just go click run payment, approve. Right away they will deduct the whatever the payment is that I'm making to myself from my bank account. They will deduct my payroll taxes from the bank account right then and there. And they will direct deposit at the same time into my personal account my pay for the week after they take out all my payroll taxes. After they take, your FICA, your all those different insurances that you got to pay. Like 3 or 4 different taxes they take out because I am setting up for Alaska, and I currently live in Nevada. Neither state has state income tax, so I don't have to pay income tax on that. I used to have to pay the federal income tax, FICA, FHA, and all those other ones. And of course, it also takes out my business payroll tax and puts it aside for the quarterly report, where every quarter they transmit that money to the IRS. I don't have to worry about it. They take care of it for me. That way I can make sure everything's handled properly. And I don't need to worry about the IRS coming after me to do a colonoscopy with the Hubble telescope like the FMCSA will be in 1 year from now. Ow, I hope they bring Vaseline. Yeah, I think I want to clip it from there. We're over 2 hours now. Oh my God, can I talk? Let me give you information on the business. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but we'll all be in the description below. The business is MPEA Enterprises LLC. The business address is 5432 East Northern Lights Boulevard, Suite 552, Anchorage, Alaska 99508. USA. The business phone number is area 907-313-8408. The business fax machine is 907-313-8408. I'm sorry, the business phone line. Oh wow. 907-313-8409. Business phone number. 907-313-8409. The business fax number is 907-313-8408. The business website address is mpenterprises.us. That's mpenterprises.us. The general email number, the general email address is info@mpenterprises.us. The dedicated carrier's email address is carrier@mpenterprises.us. The dedicated shipper email, I don't know why I keep wanting to say phone instead of email. The dedicated shipper email is shipper@mpenterprises.us. My DOT number is 352-7860. My MC number is 117-3367. My SCAC code is MPEA. And like I said, my SmartWay and SIDPAT registrations are pending. And if you click on the DOT number or the MC number on the bottom of the page, it will take you straight to the FMCSA website with the information for my business. Alright guys, I think I gotta leave it there. I mean, we're over 2 hours into this now. I really hope everybody stood around and watched all this, watched the whole thing. I hope you get a lot of valuable information. I'm going to try and be fully transparent with you guys in all videos. If I have somebody that's going to give me a referral fee or some type of sponsorship, I will let you know up front, like with the Opus virtual offices, I will make a couple bucks if you sign up for them. That'll go to offset my rent for the month. You'll save, I believe it's 10% on your first bill. For Scott over Pacific, I'm not getting anything from him. I'm just being a nice guy and putting this information out there. Hopefully he can help you guys out and get you some real good rates. He will work with you to the best of his ability to get you the best rates possible. I'm going to leave a link below for Equinox. I don't get any sponsorship or anything from them for referring you. Actually, I think Equinox does have an affiliate program. I can't remember if Equinox does or not, but I will leave their link below. And for QuickBooks, I will leave my affiliate link below for them as well. I pay them $10 a month for my small business program. And at the end of the year, I pull down my P&L from them. I get my P&L from Equinox. I marry them up if everything matches. I sign off on the Equinox one so they can prepare my taxes. If something's off, I'll review everything, go through all of my receipts and everything with Equinox and QuickBooks, find where the discrepancy is and get it fixed and get it over to Equinox so they can recalculate everything and get a new P&L back to me to sign off and approve so they can file my taxes for me. Alright guys, that's it. Sorry it took so long. I hope you got a lot of good information and value out of this. If you stuck around this long, I truly, truly thank you, and I am humbled that you stuck around and listened to me so long. Don't forget to subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you know when I upload new videos, and I plan on trying to do a video every week. Might be a little slow at first doing that, but I'm going to try and get a video out every Friday for you guys. This video will be coming out Christmas Day, which is, hey, look at that, Friday. Today. Alright everybody, don't forget to smash the heck out of that thumbs up, that like button there. Let YouTube know that you found my long-winded video to be educational and of some type of intrinsic value to you. Alright guys, we're clipping it here. As always, thank you for stopping by. I hope to see you again. Keep it between the ditches. Keep the shiny side up, the rubber side down. I'll see you out there on the road, and go Army, beat Navy.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.